I found that whenever you bring up issues with education, you get told to grow up. As long as it's not about book banning, most people really don't think about it. And why should they? Leftists, they kind of win. They are literate. And conservatives, they don't really care as long as their kid doesn't come home spouting some woke shit. But not me, though. If in some biography someone were to say that high school broke me, I wouldn't disagree. So, in an attempt to heal and to contribute to revolutionary thought, I'm gonna bitch about school for a while. Starting off light with the schedule, it's rigid and bloated and starts too early. One of the biggest contributors to my misery was that I knew what slop I'd have to sit through. It's meant to align with 9 to 5s, which, themselves are problematic. But anyways, we live in a world where people really only get to be themselves at night. And it's common to hear of people, sleepwalking through the day until, after nap time, when, then that's when they get to begin to exist. I remember, I think it was, senior year or something, I just had things where I just had blank spots, and a lot of people would have blank spots in the schedule where they'd have nothing to fucking do. And it's just not, it's not flexible. You can't just leave or anything. It's so weird whenever my mother brings up the fact that she used to be able to leave during school. That's just so crazy because I can't even fathom that they leave. Here in New York, they lock you inside all day, and they have security officers or whatever just in the front. So, like, where are you going? Nowhere. That's cool. That's cool. It's a good feeling to have, armed guards at your school. I remember hearing that public schools only really started to begin after the Industrial Revolution. So I guess you could say that this is my manifesto. Anyways, you can see the influences in the schedules, like I just went over, and in the way they'll have students sitting all day, which does wonders for attention spans and has nothing to do with people acting out. I am sure of it. Teachers, they do, admittedly, they try to get more, interactive lessons. I do remember that, where, you can get up and walk around and go to different, things around the room, but they will often, prohibit you from speaking, which kind of defeats the purpose of getting up and whatever. Another influence of industrial shit are uniforms. Their argument usually goes, oh, you're suppressing people's individuality, and then they'll go, it reduces bullying, and if students are thinking less about what they wear, they focus on their work. Thinking less in a place of learning, huh? That's okay. And the bullying thing is so funny because it perfectly encapsulates how schools just do not give a fuck about addressing root causes of bullying. If a kid is fat, if a kid is autistic or short, they will get bullied. It's just how it is. God forbid you're ugly. That's just how it is. And you're not trying to encourage people to work together or anything like that. No, the way the whole grade system, and I think and the fact that they're, usually sometimes publicly posted or whatever, it just, encourages competition, and, part of competition, you can say that it encourages you to get better, but it also encourages you to step on other people. That thing of Batman without a mask, well, that's kind of uniforms. I remember not being myself anytime I put that fucking polo shirt on, and it's probably part of why I struggle to remember my school days. And I'm willing to bet that uniformity schools desire is why outcasts get treated the way they do. Visually, everyone's supposed to be the same, but when you see someone who acts a little differently, well, I guess that's a red flag, and that's something that, I don't know, maybe someone who's a little evil would want to act on. Just a hypothesis. I don't know. And that uniformity, I think it's also part of the reason why classes will struggle to initiate conversations, because, well, you're encouraged to fit in, and if you give a wrong answer, then, now you're a dumbass, and now you stand out. And in general, with the whole uniform thing and the way that they have, security guards and the way they tell you where to go and what to do and, give you what to eat, you just aren't, you're not a prisoner, but you're not your own person. You're not you while you're in school. So to suddenly ask, students to just start, talking freely, that's not gonna work super well. And the things that schools do teach is kind of bullshit. I get the point of, having, a well-rounded education, the value of that. And that is nice and makes sense. But at the same time, it's not well-rounded enough. And this is going to be specific to America, but if in parts of America, they things like slavery are more or less just glossed over. And, the way that sort of shifted into, I guess, sharecropping and things, systems of the sort are, again, glossed over. Because if you were to actually teach the genuine history and, go into detail about, the genocide of, the indigenous people, that would be like, one, it's just a total vibe killer. And, people with bad vibes are a lot harder to control. It's not about making people, intelligent or cultured or whatever. It's about making people ready to work in an office. That is really what the end goal of education is. And that is really bad. There is a reason that if you go on Twitter and you go check a Trump, like someone who's like, I don't know, right wing, they will be dumb. They will be into anime, and they will, not read. And, dumb people like, right-wing stuff. There are so many people, and today I vividly remember clicking on a video about the birth crisis or whatever, and population decline, and people, I shit you not, they will be like, I can't own a house, so I'm not gonna have kids. And they will say these things. They like, bring up, things like job insecurity, and basically they'll just go down a whole list of ways capitalism has fucked them over. But if you told them, hey, you might be a communist, they would fucking run away, screaming, covering their ears, because the word is just kind of vaguely scary. They don't know what it is, and that is very intentional. The school system is meant to, uphold, these systems, and the systems are just objectively evil. So school is evil. Before I get into my big finale, 2 quick points. Lunch should be free. If a fucking rapist in prison isn't paying for their food, why should a student? And I think that generally people would read more if it wasn't made their job for 20 something years of their lives. And even when it's not their job, because of the thing that shall not be named, they work so much they don't have the time or energy to read. Whenever people, you see people complain about, literacy and how people don't really read that much, you need to keep in mind that reading is the most intense, it just is the most intense form of media that you can interact with, even more so than video games, because with video games you have something to look at. Even if you have to press the buttons, you still have something to look at. Mario will always look the same. Mario looks the same between 2 people, but I don't know, Jon Snow will look slightly different between 2 different people, because that's their imagination filling in the gaps. It's just the most it sounds so strange, but reading is fucking intense, man. So to ask people to do that after working for 8 hours, or then traveling for 2 hours, so basically spending 10 hours busy, it's just not very reasonable. Okay, so the last thing is college, and keep in mind that it is not free in the United States, which is where I live. Conceptually, college seemed really cool to me. Well, that's little me. It was a place where grown-ups would go to choose what they want to learn. And, you have to remember, that might sound a little nerdy, might sound a little lame, but, I grew up watching like, Sid the Science Kid and, Elmo and shit, where learning was kind of fun. And, learning it's fun. It's nice to, know new things and, be confronted with something you didn't really know about. It's fun. It is objectively fun, I feel like, even if you don't like, I don't know, learning about the economy in France or something. If you play a sport, you learn to get better at it. It's fun. That is what people like to do. So imagine my surprise when I found out that it's really just a football organization, or when I found out that you have to pay for it, or when I found out that you still don't have complete control of your classes. And sidebar, the way, the convoluted fucking way that you apply for these things it's so, I mean, again, it's reminiscent of just the way job insecurity is created and sort of reinforced under capitalism. But also, I think that, and maybe I'm just a little too woke, but I don't have anything to base this off of. But I think the way that it is intentionally difficult to apply to colleges is just a way to, I guess, I want to say, weed out poors and minorities. But that's just a hypothesis. You didn't hear that from me. It's not a place for people who want to learn. Well, I mean, if you're privileged enough, it is. But as it is now in this country, the beautiful, wonderful United States of America, it's a place people go because they are desperately afraid of working at McDonald's. There's so many times I've heard teachers say that you have to go to college, otherwise you'll be a fucking serf, you'll be a peasant, you'll be shoveling shit, you'll be fucking around in the sewers, you'll be a bum. They tell you this, or they say, trade school, of course. I think a few times they'll be like, well, college isn't for everyone. And it's just so, it's dirty. The way that you didn't naturally encourage people to want to learn, so you sort of have to threaten them with, I guess, social suicide or economic hardship to go to college. It's disgusting. And you know what? If you need any more proof that this whole college thing is bullshit, the whole institution, whatever you fucking want to call it, look at how Columbia spreads its whole for ice. It's shit. My friends that I know who do go or have gone to college, they did so because their parents forced them to. They didn't want to go. High school didn't, leave them wanting more. And, shocker, they aren't too happy about it. It's like watching your hero die. Well, kind of. It's not. I guess I did watch my hero die. They made the Amazing Spider-Man movies. And then Spider-Man Homecoming. You know what? Whatever. In summation, capitalism bad, treating kids like people good, and, I don't know, kill the world.